anybody want to start a little bit of a trend discussion for next year? Because it makes us look good, doesn't it? It makes us look like we're predicting the future.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'll give you some insight into the future. So I was speaking to this guy who's really interesting. He was a futurist. His job was to look into the future and tell brands what they were going to have to do in our market. And he was talking to me about the change in generations of what a kitchen means to them. So he's saying to him, a lot of people now order food and get it delivered in. They don't cook in a kitchen. So cooking, in a traditional sense, is changing the way that generations view it. Bathroom's a bit different because you've got to keep doing that stuff. But kitchens, could it be different that we have to change our technology and what a kitchen is today is not a kitchen tomorrow? If it's so easy just to click a button and something gets delivered and we all do it and it's nice food, it's better than what I could do on my life. No, that off. But could this change and where could that sort of go?
Yeah, so kitchen people, smart kitchens, is that a big thing? Because in the world of connected buildings, which is also part of my role, people are starting to get excited about it, but it's mainly about technology at the moment and consumer tech. But the kitchen is clearly part of it. You know, the fridge that will order your food.
I think there's a lot of technology there, but it's, we have to look at it because you can get bombarded by there's too much. So it's kind of, what does that mean to our consumers? There's things like coffee machines. You've got them there. You can sort your coffee out on your iPad. But yeah, if you don't get up and put the coffee cup underneath the coffee machine...
So you've got kids for?
Yeah, well, there you go, yeah.
The next thing. But it's worth remembering with the kind of kitchens that I do, which are generally existing homeowners, where we're taking the existing kitchen out and we're redesigning, they haven't had a new kitchen for 15, 20 years. So actually, anything new to them is new. So they're not necessarily going for the high-tech, the newest innovation that has come out, because everything to them is new. And do we need to be getting more innovative, or do we need to be looking more on convenience? Do I use all 18 functions on my oven and my washing machine? No.
Do you find it as well that we get people coming to us and it's almost the technology's too complicated?
Yes.
They just want ovens with dials sometimes. They're in a world where, just click, 200 degrees, jobs are good.
Jamie, that's a very good point, mate, because you talk about design and technology. We think about, we're an ageing population, aren't we? Yeah, so there's a big conversation now in kitchen design when the customer comes in the showroom about multi-generational living for the future. So when the customer comes in, it's not about the kitchen or the bathroom of today, it's where you're going to be in 10, 15, 20 years' time. How will that affect you? I think smart advice could be those retailers who are having those conversations are more likely to touch that point.
The design is more about lifestyle. Now, if you've got some technophobe that really is scared to press the button on anything, then you're not going to sell the latest technology. And then conversely, you've got somebody that's really interested in technology, possibly works in IT, or in our case, probably sold an IT company. It is more than ever about the lifestyle and how people want to use it. Because we have people at the top end of the market that have to have all of the latest gadgets, and they're never going to go in there. The most the kitchen's ever likely to be used is if they have a party and they bring in a chef. It is a very, very individual thing. And coming back to skill set, and you're right, you do have to have these people that fit these things, and they're becoming ever more technical. And let's face it, we have to encourage our trades to read the instructions on something new, not if all else fails. But all of it is now getting challenged because our client base is ever more demanding and they want it individual for them and do not want to be told, no, you can't have it. You end up with a situation where that is really pushing design. I'm talking about spatial design and the overall concept. And then it's about procurement, it's about sourcing the right products to meet the requirements of that lifestyle and how that client wants to use that area.
But AI has revolutionised our business. We invested in it probably 20 months ago, where we turn a process of compliance, which is incredibly important and will become even more important over the next few months and few years for our industry around fitting. we've managed to turn a sort of a 3-day process into one that takes less than a second using AI. So we do absolutely recognise it's not going to replace everything within our business, nor do we want it to. But there are smart ways to improve your efficiency, and I think efficiency will be the key to a lot of our industry's successes moving forward. And we should use AI. Don't be frightened of AI, but just realise where we use it within our business is going to add real benefit rather than it just being a thing.
So how can we develop that voice to be asking them what they need? Because we're, like you said, there's a lot of assumptions that we make.
I mean, a lot of the customers that I see, they want convenience. They want a hot water tap, one that's got a filter combined with it. They want a combination microwave oven. They want a pyrolytic oven, or they want a slide and hide oven. They want worktops that aren't going to smear when you try and clean them. They want smooth kitchens sometimes that don't have all the grains and all the detail because it's too hard to clean. Most of the time, they want convenience, but that looks.
How do you guys see the planned bathrooms and kitchens? How do you see the use of AI when the customer comes in, either speeding up the process or giving something, maybe even a better solution than a human, or is that not possible?
No, I think
Suddenly, everybody's going to become a kitchen designer. And that they're going to be creating these things on these, AI apps, and they're going to come in and go, this is what, and then it's going to be down to us to tweak our marketing to make sure that they realise that everything that we can offer them, that the AI can't, and what the risks are of designing it yourself are. That hand-holding. At the end of the day, it is already happening where people are coming in with they're not that great, but it's going to improve. Yeah. It will get better very quickly.
Technology in social media is not a new thing. We all know social media. We've all got social media accounts. We're all probably attached to social media, both from a business point of view, and no doubt as we were commuting in today, we probably looked at social media.
It's the shop window now.
The motorcycle industry have gone beyond that. They've done the selling bit. They realise that doesn't work because you're bombarded by sales. Now what they're doing is all about interacting with their people and getting feedback from their audience on what they want. They've taken a real sort of pragmatic view on social media, and you very rarely see them selling shiny stuff on there. They're engaging and talking to people. What do you want from your buyer? How do you fit that? What's the problems that you exist? How can we overcome it? And they do it in a really clever way. As businesses and perhaps as an industry, we're not using it as effectively as perhaps other industries are. But the secret, we don't have to make up the secret. We don't have to be marketing experts, and we certainly don't have to go and pay tens of thousands of pounds for some expert to tell us how to do it. Let's just open our vision and see what other people are doing and just nick some of the bloody best bits. That's what I say.
Some of the AI designs that I have seen, they're not considering function at all. And every single thing you listed around what is the consumer looking for, that was all function. It was not necessarily the aesthetic. Obviously, they want it to look good, and that'll be the primary driver for changing. But risk that we have is that we're asking the consumer to populate the model. So they're cooking up their statement of what their dream kitchen could potentially be. And really the people in the room here are the people that actually know what they probably want, or the various ways that they could populate that kitchen. We've got an insurgence of design houses showing open storage solutions. So just open shelves floating on a wall in an AI world where something's, rendered and not actually real. That is not good business for anyone in our world. The installer has to figure out, well, how can I actually fit it to the wall? The cabinet manufacturer has lost volume and value because essentially, you don't sell a shelf or you sell a cupboard for. And, really the designer is actually looking for that individualization. So what do we do? That's an example of integration. We talk to the installer, it's a challenge. The manufacturer doesn't enjoy that either.
So what's your smart advice?
It's finding that one strand where actually we can attach the installer, the retailer, the manufacturer, and be able to have a healthy discussion and affect change on it.
We are working with an ageing workforce that are less open to that type of dialogue and change.
And we'll come to that in a sec, the workforce.
AI is no different to any other technological innovation as far as I'm concerned. It's a tool. It's not a replacement.
I think AI as an innovation, as a next step, and all the comments you said, it's going to not be of much value to a sector versus being of much better value to another sector, and it's largely seems to be dependent on the quality of the data that is underpinning it. You mentioned about the narrowing effect. Well, the narrowing effect works if the quality of data it's constantly looking at tends to have that narrowing effect. There's a common theme that I see from a manufacturer's point of view to all of the themes that have been talked about, whether you go high end with yourself and wanting to pitch there, modularization and a methodology, allowing consumers to still be choosing one or having desire and then working with them to what is optimized. How you can allow all of these different things to coexist and become much more efficient is an area that AI can help with, providing we allow access to data underneath it. So I'll give a tangible example to it, which is a common business problem is cash tied up in inventory that you don't know whether you're going to get your return on it, you don't know what's going to happen. If you can use AI to be a better forecaster of what is going to be required, you reduce inventory and you increase customer service. But it can't happen unless there is a better transparency of data.
It's only as good as what you feed it.
It's only as good as what you feed it, precisely. So if you tie a common thing together with all of these different things, and what I see is that you don't have to compromise each other's ideas of what the future is going to be. You don't have to say, actually, 90% of the consumers are wrong, they really should only have these basics. That's fine, you can have that. But the problem occurs when you're trying to do the same level of service, but when you do have that 1 in 10 who is insistent on they are right in what they want, and it doesn't really matter whether you can say they're right or they're wrong, it doesn't really matter. The problem is, how do you develop a system that can cope with all of that flexibility? So there are common practices that the industry does have, and I think it's the same in bathrooms, but I'm not experienced enough to know. And it's the data that goes into the design software, the data that goes into that process. And it sits there, and it is probably the biggest forecasting tool available. But it's isolated.